Howdy folks, welcome to episode 21 of Bonfire Man.
Here's how Bonfire Man works. I'm locked to specific chunks in the game. I have to interact with everything in my unlocked chunks exactly once. So that means every tree needs to be chopped, every enemy needs to die, every resource needs to be consumed. When I interact with something, it is exhausted. When something is exhausted, that means I'm not allowed to interact with it again. I'm allowed to randomly unlock a new chunk whenever all of the entities in my current chunks have been so exhausted. When I enter a new chunk, I rest at a bonfire, as in the Souls games. Resting at a bonfire refreshes or unexhausts all of the content in previous chunks that I've already been to. Now I have to exhaust all entities in both the old and new chunks to continue to progress. My objective is to unlock every chunk in RuneScape. According to my estimates, I think that's going to take about 10,000 hours to complete. If you're interested in all the specifics, minutiae, minor rules, exceptions, that kind of a thing, there's a Google Doc in the description that lists all of that. Let's go ahead and get to the playthrough.
Alright, so last episode we unlocked the Ferox Enclave, which has not a lot of content in it, but it does have enough new content that I do have to light a bonfire there. I've never fought mammoths before. I think it's the only chunk in the game that has mammoths, so we'd have to light a bonfire no matter what. Last man standing is there, but it turns out I can't go in there with my current total level or my current quest points, so I will not be able to do that. Therefore, I guess I could say that it doesn't count against completing the chunk because it's technically on an entirely different map that you teleport to from here, but I'm probably going to end up killing those mammoths every cycle anyway because they do have some interesting drops. Going through the fog wall is going to be a little bit weird today because I don't have a direct chunk boundary between here and Ferox Enclave. It's diagonal to here. The way I'm going to get there is via a Waka canoe. Right over here, making my first Waka canoe. I guess that's a hard task for Verhoek. We are going to take it to the Ferox Enclave, but not to the Wilderness Pond, and I'm not rolling the Wilderness Pond because I don't have any way to get back from there, since there are no canoe trees and I can't use any sorts of teleports, so we won't be unlocking that for a very long time. Here we go. Why don't we call this the fog wall? Let me see if I can quickly unlock the chunk before this cutscene ends. Hey, look at that. Perfect. Okay, and let's light the bonfire. Does let me light a bonfire. Very cool. And of course, let's rest at it. Fantastic. Okay, here we are in Ferox Enclave. So there are a million trees around here, but I guess modern day Jagex is kind. I came here on my main account to do some scouting just to make sure I understood what I was getting in for when I populated the list here. None of these trees are choppable. You can examine them, but they are not choppable. Now, if you look in the old chunks on the edge of Ferox Enclave, there are definitely actual choppable dead trees, but not in this chunk proper. So this is literally all that there is to do here. 8 mammoths, 8 item pickups, 9 rats, and last man standing. I'm going to skip the rats right now because I can't complete the chunk anyway without being able to do last man standing, and I think one of the item spawns is technically up these stairs over here, and I can't get up the stairs until I unlock this side of the chunk. But I am really looking forward to unlocking that side so I can use that pool of refreshment. That would be an outstanding upgrade. I would be very pleased about that. But I also can't get the bank chest here. It's right over there. Actually, I wonder if this banker guy wanders into this chunk. Oh, that would be so nice if he does. I'm going to wait here and see if he does. He does, in fact, occasionally wander into the chunk, just barely. That's pretty cool. All right, well, I'm not going to, plan to bank here because it's annoying to have to wait for him to walk over, and I can always just go back to Edgeville and bank. But while I'm here, I'm going to get my gear together to fight these mammoths. I guess you can safe spot them, but I'm going to try to just melee and protect from melee them and see how that goes. Okay, here are the mammoths. There's also a bunch of bones to pick up here, but I'm not particularly excited about those. Let's see how bad these guys are in melee. Killed my first mammoth, wasted a bunch of time trying to time my attacks so that I could, flick ultimate strength and incredible reflexes at the same time as protect from melee. That's why I took so much damage. There is a altar just north of them, so I might actually be able to use this as a true AFK thing. I'm gonna see if I can talk to this banker guy again if he walks into my chunk, and I'm gonna equip my shade top and bottom. I'm probably gonna unequip this just to make sure it doesn't get lost if I get PK'd, and I'm gonna see if I can just AFK with all my prayers on and just run up to the altar every so often. So 58 hit points, pretty nice. Got a Dwellberry seed, that's new. 36 farming, so not quite yet. Yeah, so let me show you the loot from these guys. Lots of herbs, some interesting seeds. Red berries would be cool. I can plant those either now or soon, I think. Hop seeds. They do drop acorns, 1 in 25, which would be a big deal for me. And 1 dose prayer potions, which I think is my only way to get prayer potions for a long time. If I get any of those, I'm going to save them in case I absolutely need them for like a difficult boss fight or something from a quest. So it'll be good to kill these every single cycle in the hope of getting one eventually. Hey, he's got a genie. Very nice. Need those. Need lots of those. Of course, we're putting that on agility. Thank you. 60 agility XP. That's pretty solid. 74 to go. So if we get a exam random, that'll be level 7. Okay, just killed my last mammoth. 8 kills, good number of seeds, 8 hammerstone seeds, which is cool. I can actually use those. I might need to start farming again now that I actually have a decent number of seeds. There's just nothing really for me to go for with farming, and it's a lot of extra work to have to pay attention to it. So I think I'm still going to try to hold off a little bit longer, at least until I can get my secateurs, because then I can start planting trees, which I can try to manage. Well, with the mammoth's dead, I'm basically done with the new chunk. So let's go do everything else. Hope you enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna make a mithril axe, which means I need to get some coal really quick. So I'm gonna mine some coal, probably in the barbarian village, and then go make a mithril axe, and I'll probably start chopping trees with the new axe. Hey, there's mining 40. You can now mine gold. And I guess gem rocks and size 4 stars. Alright, so going ahead and making my mithril bar that I need for my mithril axe. I will go ahead and hammer that into an axe once I get into Varrock, but I guess since I've got my pickaxe on me now, I'm just going to run around and do mining tasks. Get those out of the way. Alright, there's Slayer 20. I can now slay rock slugs, which I will do. I'm going to try to pop over and buy some rock salt. I don't know how much it costs. I do have 60 gold from killing them. I decided to pop over here and do the hill giants while I was working on mining, just because that way I'll be able to do the rock slugs when I get down into the lumbered swamp cave later. Oof, bags of salt are 10 coins each. That's more than I was expecting. But I guess there are only 5 rock slugs in the cave, so I just have to buy 5 of those per cycle. That's not too bad. Oh, hopefully I caught this in the edit, but my mic was out there for a little bit. I crafted a mithril axe in those previous clips, and just continuing to mine. But it's exciting to finally have an upgrade after 242 hours. Been using the steel axe all that time. Mine my first ever gold ore. I only get 2 right now. I don't know that there's any particularly close places where I can mine a lot of it, but 2 is significantly more than 0 in this game. The shooting star here that I mined once. One of these days I'll be able to mine one of those to depletion if it lands in a completed chunk. Wood cutting 65. Just sitting here tapping out my depletable yew trees. Now cut cellucid mushrooms. Okay, finally finished all of my wood cutting. Live split timer, we are at 5 hours and 42 minutes into the cycle. Gonna move on to PDM now. See how long that takes. A 1-step beginner clue. What we get? A black sword. Okay. A black 2H sword, but too bad I can't dump it in the foundry. Once again, no drop at the lesser demon. 120 coins. About to hit 54 attack. 1 more level, and I'm going to switch to defense for a bit. Alright, I'm going to make my first ever Necklaces of Passage and Rings of Returning. The reason is I have a clue scroll here for the Wizard's Tower, and it would be nice to just be able to teleport there in the future. Alright, step 2 I could do, and it was a casket. That's actually not too bad. 3 law runes is great, and a steel plate skirt is great. That's worth 2 steel bars at the Giant's Foundry. Wonderful. Heading down to Catoblepins now, but I had a crazy time with flesh crawlers. I got 36 iron ore, which is enough to do an entire sword at Giant's Foundry all by itself. Really, really good stuff. We'll see if we have good luck with the Catoblepins. Not a great run from the Catablepins here. We got a Nature Talisman, which is new, but I don't think that's going to be relevant for an extremely long time. That must have been the rare drop table. Let me take a look. Yeah, that's a 1 in 1,094. I guess technically 1 in 2,154. So it's not like I got that instead of like a Dragon Spear or something, but still. Alright, coming up on 55 attack, and we'll switch to defense. Oh my god, I've been 1 XP away this whole time. There it is. 55 attack, switching to defense. It's got defense 41. Alright, Onkos are done. I did manage to do Posty Pete. Alright, just killed killed the zombie, I should say. 1 big bones and 40 air runes. Still haven't gotten the money drops from these things. I guess, yes, last cycle we got the 7 big bones drop, which was kind of cool. But that means I'm done with the Stronghold of Security. I'm going to try to get everything that requires me to flick Protect Melee out of the way, because it's pretty attentive, and I'm able to play attentively at the moment. Alright, I went ahead and got a bunch of planks. I'm going to do these real quick before I go do other things. I'm going to head into the Lumbered Swamp Cave to do the giant frogs down there, and now I can do rock slugs, which is going to be cool. At 1440 construction XP, I'm going to head over to the Lumbered Swamp Caves now. Alright, for fun, before I get to the giant frogs, let's try these rock slugs out. First rock slug slain, it dropped a hammer. That's not great. Second one dropped nothing at all. Cool. You guys actually drop a Dwarven Stout somewhat regularly, which I might be able to take advantage of. See if I get it. So one more that I gotta kill here. Well, not super compelling. I got a single iron, a single coal, and a single hammer. That's it. I'm going to head over to the giant frogs now. I'm going to try to flick Protect from melee on them. So that went way better and more easy than previous runs have with ranged or magic. They die really fast to melee. They have pretty bad defenses, and me leveling up my attack helped a lot. Okay, here comes 44 Prayer. I can now use Eagle Eye. There's only one more prayer that I really care about, and it's Mystic Might, which is 45, and I'm not as interested in that as I am in Hawkeye, or Eagle Eye, I should say. I guess technically, Chivalry and Piety, but by the time I'm able to do those quests, I'm sure I'll already be there just from burying bones. Coming up on Defense 42. 43 defense. A few more to go. Just finished all 3 black demons. And no drops. Steel Battle Axe is okay, though. I guess that's another steel bar. Coming up on 44 defense here. There it is. Quite nice. 4 to go, then we'll switch back to strength. I'm about to get defense 45. I don't think I have any major defense milestones other than 60, I suppose, to equip dragon equipment if I ever get a dragon med helm or drop table drop or something. Comes 48 cooking. Get a decent amount of cooking XP just making stews to heal myself between activities. Here comes thieving 32. I actually over pickpocketed men this cycle by accident, so I'm gonna try. Oh my god, woman I'm trying to pickpocket is on a huge stack of people using that. There we go. Over pickpocketed men by 1, so I'm going to under-pickpocket women since they count the same. And actually, I made the opposite mistake in a prior cycle, so that'll stabilize the loot tracker for them, actually. Oh my god. Finally getting my first maze random at 10 days. I haven't done this in a long time. Shoot, I used to have some of these doors marked too. Alright, let's see what we get here. First time ever getting one. Oh my god, that's so good. 712 iron arrows, 237 chaos runes, and 2,000 coins. I can't. Jesus Christ. If only I was getting those more often, right? That would have changed everything. That's such an insanely good thing. As much as I love genies, right? I'm lucky to have gotten a dunce and 2 genies in a pretty short period of time there. I feel like the maze random is particularly huge for this account, and I hope that I get more of them, because having 254 hours in my first maze random seems pretty bad. But yeah, very, very good. That's great. Like 712 iron arrows is nuts. That's more arrows than I have in... Well, I don't know if it's more than I have in the bank. I probably have a decent number of bronze arrows. No. I think it's almost as many arrows as I've obtained entirely from PVM. These are all PVM drops. I've burned through all the ones that I crafted with bronze arrow tips a long time ago. Wow, that is a hell of a drop. 46 defense. Almost done with these cows. Finished all the calves. Ooh, got a truly cruel step 2 of beginner clue. Just barely can't get to her. Oh well. Just hit 26 fishing. And keep fishing at this spot here. Fishing 27. Alright, I got another beginner clue that's in a semi to lumberage, so of course I'm going to go do some construction training. Well, there's construction 36. Dragon bitter barrel, oak trophy case, teak wall decoration, mounted bass. Can't do anything with that. Unless I build a league hall, which I don't think makes sense at the moment. Total construction XP 2880 so far this cycle. I think that means that if I go back with all oak, I'd be able to get another level up. But I don't think I have that many oak options. Back in the PoE, just doing my last round of oak planks. I'm not going to quite get a level up here, I think. Yeah, I'm 156 away from 37. I will probably come back with regular planks. I've got a decent number of law runes now, so I may as well get my XP. Alright, there's 37 construction. Now make a menagerie, and a bunch of stuff in menageries. Okay. Well, I ran out of nails, but that was my objective. I wanted to formally be done with these bronze nails. I might be able to do one more trip for regular planks, we'll see. About to get 27 runecraft here. You know, can now make cosmic runes, and I technically can now participate in Guardians of the Rift. Temple of the Eye gets you from 15 to 27 instantly. So unlocking it now would be amazing, because I think it might get us pretty close to 35. 35 is the level I need for What Lies Beneath, which will make it easier, will make it possible for me to craft Chaos Runes, but also is required to complete a chunk. This is my first cycle where I'll be able to make all 4 combination runes, or all 4 kinds of runes at the fire altar, so I'm going to mark it complete. I'm still going to do it every single cycle, so it's not like it's going to change anything, but it's always neat to complete another chunk. Alright, here comes 28 runecraft. We are halfway to the level I need. Defense 47, one more, and I'm going to do something else. Alright, this is great. I'm basically done. I'm going to do my Giant's Foundry. I like ending here. It's kind of a nice little cap off on the playthrough up to this point. So yeah, I'm going to try to make a bunch of these. I do have a pretty high score on my first sword, but I'm trying to decide if I want to do an all iron or if I always want to be trying to do... I probably always want to be trying to do alloys whenever possible. I do get to use those magical 8 iron longswords that I got from Rusty Swords. That's fun. Alright, let's hand this first sword in. Okay. 5k smithing XP is what I'd like to see. 10k coins is what I'd like to see per sword. It's pretty solid. Broad light sword. And we got smithing 53. We can now make myth med helms, myth crossbow bolts. I don't care about any of that. Ooh, broad light might be my worst combination. This is really bad. I'm going to see if there's another one I can buy. Hey, just looking at the wiki, this is apparently one of the worst possible commissions you can get in general, even if you have every single mold combination. It's actually literally the worst by a wide margin, too. Here comes the second sword. Not as good, but it's a really bad commission. What are you going to do about it? All right, here's our third turn-in. I had a really weird alloy that time. I had a handful of steel items, some bronze. But yeah, that's close to our target. 4,470 smithing XP, 8940 coins. I can probably make one more commission work. Narrow heavy, let's see. Oh, I think that's the one I just did. Oh, right on. I mean, that's better than average, so I'll take it. All right, here's the last sword. I was able to squeeze out 4 this time, thanks to all of those iron ore drops. And close to 5,000 again, so pretty good. Let's see what the next commission is. That did squeeze us into smithing 54. I'll make mithril short swords, mithril dart tips, and mithril nails. Okay. And narrow spiked is one of the ones I already bought, so pretty solid. 24 plus 24. It's way above average. We'll do that next episode. So that's everything for this. Let's summarize. Okay, first things first, scroll through the task list. Don't think there's anything crazy exciting to point out here. I am doing all of Stronghold of Security now, the Onkos and the Catablepin, so that's cool. I did make mud runes on the water altar. I think technically I should be able to allow to make both versions of the rune, since they give different XP drops and they require different talismans, and that's a consumable resource. For now, I'm not going to worry about it because I don't even have enough talismans to support that. But maybe in the future I'll revisit that if it ever gets to the point where I have so many talismans that matters. Okay, yeah, that's everything. Nothing looking pretty significant there. Loot tracker. Slow scroll. I did screw up. I said I was going to do one fewer woman because I overdid men, and I still ended up doing, yeah, I did 8 women pickpockets, so I'm going to have to fix that next cycle. I'm 1 pickpocket ahead, unfortunately. Nothing super amazing in terms of drops. XP, let's see. Close to being done with defense. Again, I'm trying to keep defense 14 levels behind strength and attack 7 levels behind strength. I might want to try to get ranged 7 levels behind strength. So starting next cycle, once we get to defense 48, I might switch to ranged until we can get it to 55. And then go back onto strength. Strength levels are going to be really slow from now on. I think it's going to be an extremely long time until I get another max hit, so I just want to try to get everything up as much as we can there. Very close to 59 hit points. Doing okay on smithing, although not a lot of exciting smithing goals. Really the only things that we would look forward to would be new molds, and I don't think we get another mold until 59, which is close to doubling our current smithing XP total. Cooking XP is still just from making stews. Like, stews turn out to be pretty solid. And once again, while I'm doing my summary, I'm noticing construction and remembering that I have enough runes to go ahead and pop back and do a little bit more construction training. So let me do that real fast. Yeah, I'm probably going to end up doing this each time. Waiting until the end of the episode to see if I feel comfortable in my law rune count is probably the way to go. So it's good that I can do wooden shelves 3. I'm not going to do it every cycle, obviously, because I don't need the boost, but it means that I only need to get to 43 construction to be able to make the altar instead of going all the way to 45. No, it might not actually be true. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to build the room that it needs to go in. I'll have to double check that. Okay, it looks like I can boost to build the room, so I could build the chapel at 43. We still have a long way to go there, almost doubling the total construction XP we've gotten to date, but a little bit under that.
Hey, Future Marstead here, real fast on the topic of making tea in the player-owned house. I got a comment somewhat recently about how I plan to handle the kitchen in the player-owned house and how much cooking XP I was going to allow myself. There's a lot of stuff you can cook in the POH, and it's theoretically infinite XP because you can keep taking items out of the larders. I think my attitude, obviously I can't train infinitely there, that's contrary to the philosophy of Bonfire Man, but I can just take things as I need them. So I could make tea any number of times in a cycle if I need it to boost, to make something that I don't qualify for, but I can't just make tea over and over and over as a cooking training method. So yeah, we'll treat it like agility shortcuts. If you need to use it for some other reason, you can, but you can't do it over and over. I'll let you get back to the end of the playthrough in a second, but I suppose while I have your attention, I've been waiting for something relevant to happen in the episode for me to bring this up. Nothing has come up. We're almost done, so I'll ask you now. I have a question. I would like to poll viewers on their thoughts on something because it's going to affect what I'm doing in my playthrough of Bonfire Man right now, in which I'm a couple months ahead. All right, so the topic is minigame teleports. Somebody brought this up on another recent video that, hey, why aren't you including some of the minigame teleports in your rollable chunks? There's a handful of minigame teleports that have no requirements, so you can do it every 30 minutes, just like the Lumbridge Home teleport, and you can teleport back out from there. So shouldn't you be including, like, the ability to go straight to Burthorpe, for example? Now, the reason I haven't included it is that I honestly didn't know that some of these minigame teleports had 0 requirements. I was under the impression that you had to visit those locations at least once, and I think that's the case for most of the teleports on the list, but there are a handful that you can just, a brand new account out of Tutorial Island can just use. I don't feel particularly strongly about this one. I feel like I already have a ton of rollable chunks in my area. Getting access to more interesting places would be cool, but I haven't included it this whole time. I could have included it back at episode 1 and we're like 21 episodes in. But I could add it now on the episode that I'm currently recording. So I guess let me know in the comments below, do you think I should add mini-game teleports that have no requirements onto my list of rollable chunks in the future, in the chunk I'm currently recording? Thank you. Back to the playthrough.
All right, this is the last thing I'm going to build for the cycle. So that puts us at 5,402 construction XP, which is pretty decent. Okay, back to summarizing the episode. I guess I'll go ahead and stop the live split timer there. 1708, which is way better than the prior chunk. And we've kind of been floating around 17. I think part of that just comes from the benefit of clearing chunks, and also that I didn't spend any time like fletching or mass burying bones today. So maybe we're kind of stabilizing around that time for now, depending on what comes into new chunks. But back to the XP totals. Prayer 44, only really care about 45. After that, I mean, I'll keep burying bones, but this is the last prayer that I'm realistically going to use for like the next 1,000 hours. Mining is unfortunate. We're not quite getting a level per episode anymore. We're a little bit short of it. And the next level that matters is 55 for mithril ore, which is we're quadrupling our current total XP ever gained on mining. So we're going to be on this for a really long time, barring some miraculous chunk unlock. If we were able to mine shooting stars to depletion, that could change things, but I think we still have a ways to go before completing any chunks where that becomes possible. I guess while I'm mentioning that, let me review that really fast. Oh, so this is interesting. I could have done this last cycle, but I didn't think about it. I could have done this a ton of cycles ago when I unlocked Lumbridge Swamp East. There is technically a shooting star that can land in Lumbridge Swamp East. I feel like I should try to go for it. Like, I need that mining XP really bad. In order to get this, I'm going to have to, like, hop constantly and look for a shooting star in Mistalin and then find it, and then it has to be a level that I'm able to mine at, and preferably 40, like a tier 4 star, so I can sit there as long as possible. Let me look into it. I'm going to log into my other account here and see if I can find something.
Hey, it's me, Future Marston again. I think I brought this up a couple times already, but just a reminder, Lumbridge Swamp East should not be complete yet because of fishing nodes, because I don't have a fishing rod yet for the net/rod nodes. So I am going to be mining these stars of depletion prematurely, but I am going to fix it in future cycles. In fact, here from my perspective as Future Marston, I have already fixed this, and the fix is to skip the shooting star and the fishing nodes for several cycles. It ends up not making a huge difference because, like I just said, I don't have another mining unlock until level 55, and I fix it before hitting 55. Spoilers. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the episode.
All right, so I got the Shooting Stars plugin. I'm going to try to use that here. No dice on the 2 Mistalins that are already in the list. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I can really justify sitting here and waiting forever. There's another one coming up on World 386 in 7 to 9 minutes, but this is other people scouting, so I'm going to try to scout on my main really quick. Waiting one to spawn here. I've just been hiding the ones that I can't do, but it's kind of neat. Because of the way the Shooting Stars plugin works, if I scout it on my main, it automatically gets populated onto my Bonfire man account here. I do have a bunch of Mistalin options here, so I'm really hoping at least one of these has it. I suppose if it ends up being too high a level, I can broadcast it in the Shooting Stars CC and let them mine it down to level 4, and then I can start mining it. Oh, found one here. It's 30. I'm just going to take it. That's significantly more than I can usually get. So I'm just going to mine this to completion. I'm going to go ahead and turn the live split timer back on now that I actually found one. Let's see how long that actually takes in practice. Mining 41. I'm gonna go ahead and add a task for this. I'll just call it a mini-game, shooting star, rather than a mining thing. All right, so not only do I think this is going to be a source of significant XP long-term for the account, it might actually make mining reasonable. If I'm doing this solo, this is an enormous amount of AFK. Like, I'm going to get a whole bunch of housework done. I could probably try to schedule my stream work around this, and I might even be able to schedule editing VODs around this. Like, right now it takes me about 4 hours to edit an episode together, during which I can't play the game, but if I can try to schedule having this crash star available, we'll see. It might fall apart if I get force logged out, or if other people show up to mine it, but right now it's amazing. Well, there's somebody else here now, so I think the amount of potential XP from this thing has just dropped precipitously, unfortunately. Oh well. About to hit 42 mining here. I don't really know how much XP to expect from this, so I think it's still going to be around what we get from smithing. 42 mining. Alright, just downgraded to tier 2. Well, I missed a mysterious old man random. I guess I can just pray that it was a mime rather than a maze. That's what you get when you're that AFK, I guess. So I was complaining about this guy being here, but this is actually taking so long and I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to finish before stream starts. So maybe it's good that he's here. We'll see how much XP it ends up being. My estimate is going to be around 20k, probably not more than 30k. Mining 43, it's about to degrade down to level 1. Well, this star is about to get nuked. There's a ton of people here now. Alright, stop the clock there. Ended up getting 16.7k mining XP, which is pretty good on the whole. Not as much as the smithing I'm getting, or, you know, like wood cutting, but more in line with, like, skills that I can realistically actually level, as opposed to ones that are going to take 10 years. So I will be doing that every cycle if possible. I'm going to try to scout or pay attention to the Shooting Stars plugin for future cycles and just try to nail one whenever I can instead of, you know, doing it at the end. Okay, let's try this again. I was in the middle of summarizing everything here. Seeing my XP totals. I was talking about mining. 45 for construction is the target, although 43 would be acceptable. That would be enough to boost to make the chapel, which would be really, really nice. 45 prayer is all we really care about at this point. Thieving, not really going to matter until we can do Master Farmers, and that's a long ways away. Nothing out really from Slayer anymore. We'll see what happens after this current Hill Giant Slayer task, but that's going to be a couple cycles out. I might resume farming here soon. I do have a handful of hop seeds that I can use, but I'm not feeling any particular pressure to do it right now. And I really hope that we get an agility level. I'm probably going to beeline the Lumbridge Swamp Cave next cycle to see if we can squeeze out that 8 XP. I might be a little cheeky and say, oh, I'm going to train range so I can get a couple extra jumps. I was planning to do that anyway, since once we get to 48 defense, I'm planning to switch to ranged. So that's the XP summary. Total hours so far, 10 days, 19 hours. I showed you the life split timer. We're at 18 hours and 40 minutes if you include all that time I spent at that shooting star. Supplies used. Those are our supplies. I think I already went through the kill tracker. Yeah, okay. Let's look at the bank comparison. All right, here's the bank comparison. We're ahead on law runes, significantly ahead on law runes. Even that includes, this is like net usage, right? So it'll be any subtractions from the previous bank plus gain. So that's nice to see. Just looking for any other significant items here as I scroll through it. I did end up using a good number of jade on Rings of Returning. Those are quite useful for situations like when I'm killing cows and just want to quickly head back to Lumbridge to bank. So I might end up burning a lot of those going forward. A net gain of 16k coins. That includes the coins I spent on planks, so that's not too bad. Actual bank numbers. Here's our new items. We got 12 berry seeds for the first time, orange tree seed, got rock salt, mithril axe is quite exciting, black two-handed sword, right skull half. I probably should just start breaking those down into bone fragments before I do the summary. A couple rings of returning, few necklaces of passage. I'll try to use those more frequently. Weapon poison I got from an enemy, I think it was a catoblepin, something like that. But that is a new drop, and I will try to use that. Oh, it was an Onco. I will try to use that if I get a good dagger at some point, because we might have some enemies where poisoning them is an option to deal with them. A nature talisman, bass. I use this steel battle axe in the Giant's Foundry, an iron spear, mithril sword, and a lower tier ring of returning. So I'm gonna clean up my bank and I'll sort through it here. All right, and let's scroll. Bank still looking pretty nice. Really get a better idea of how we did on net oak logs now. I didn't check that before. Okay, yeah. So I use almost all the oak logs I get every cycle making planks. So that's good to know that I come out ahead ever so slightly, but don't need to do any chopping in cleared chunks is what I'm learning. Here's the review on random events. We were doing great on XP randoms. Dunce and 2 genies, right? Which is why we're so close to an agility level up here. Just praying that we hit that 8 XP before getting another XP random. But I think that's everything. It's time to go ahead and roll the new chunk. Let's see what we get. Okay, here we are in the chunk picker. Just remember, we've got these 3 distant chunks. I've already talked about them a bunch of times in previous episodes. So let's just focus on chunks that are new. I would be fine with rolling West Ferox Enclave. In fact, that would be an amazing chunk. I have the dice there because technically I could re-roll immediately. I would be very happy to get West Ferox Enclave. I would actually put this as like a starred chunk, but technically we can also roll immediately if we get this. This would be awesome. I could get a pool finally. I have ways to get here. Please, please, please give me West Ferox Enclave. I don't want the Graveyard of Shadows though, because it would be quite boring. Pretty much all that's there is the green dragons, which do have some interesting drops. They drop a rune dagger quite rarely, which would be a pretty big upgrade for this account, and I could poison it. So maybe it's not that bad. If I could do like middling, like a meh instead of a thumbs down, I would. But everything else we've been able to roll before, and you've heard me talk about it a bunch. So let's go ahead and without further ado, pick the new chunk. What do we get? Okay, finally unlocking somewhere that's super far away, although I guess you could argue that this entire island is effectively instanced. The Isle of Souls is one of the ones I was looking forward to, not so much for this chunk by itself, but for everything that's adjacent to it. I'm actually curious, there's moss giants here, but I've killed those before. And nothing else here that's new, technically. I guess arguably the Soul Wars lobby is new, but that's its own sub-chunk, right? So I might be able to argue that I can just go here, kill the moss giants, and then roll again, and potentially roll one of these adjacent chunks. If I do that, I'll go ahead and do it this episode, so you can know what the next actual roll is going to be. Hey there, folks. It's the next day since I've rolled the Soul Wars chunk. I've been thinking overnight and doing some testing on my other accounts to figure out how I want to handle this chunk in particular, and future similar chunks. So I've never done Soul Wars before. I actually just did it for the first time on my main account just to test it out, and I kind of have a better sense of how it works. So we have 2 problems we need to solve here. One of them is how do we handle the bonfire? Because the Soul Wars minigame is technically takes place in an instance, totally separate from the surface chunk that we've unlocked. So do we need to count completing Soul Wars towards whether or not we're allowed to skip the bonfire on this chunk? Second question is, in theory, I'm only allowed to do each minigame once per cycle, but there are a handful of minigames that are based on PvP activities, namely this one and Last Man Standing. And what we really want to do is stabilize the amount of points we can get per cycle as opposed to the number of games we can complete per cycle. So we have to make a ruling on how much zeal am I allowed to earn per cycle. I think that's probably the smarter way to do it. So the answer to the first question is actually moot here. I can't do everything in the surface chunk. I can kill the 6 moss giants, but unfortunately there are 101 trees, and those trees are spread around the edges of the chunk that I can't get to until I roll these chunks on either side of it. So I'm going to have to light a bonfire here regardless, assuming that it lets me. Yeah, I just double checked. Most of the zone is restricted from lighting fires, but there is an area down to the south where you can, so I can't use that as a way to get out of it. For the second question, how much zeal can I earn per cycle? I'm going to make a ruling here, both for Soul Wars and for Last Man Standing. I'm going to base it on the maximum amount of points you could get in a winning round, and say that as soon as I cross that threshold of points, I can't continue to complete that mini game in that cycle. So in the case of Soul Wars, you can get a maximum of 60 zeal per cycle. And in the case of Last Man Standing, I think you can get a total of 7 points if you get 5 points for being in first place and 2 points for kills. So in both of those cases, I can get 60 points of zeal per cycle. As soon as I go over 60, I have to stop playing Soul Wars until the next cycle. And same for Last Man Standing. I can get 7 points as soon as I go over 7. If I happen to have weird RNG that gets me over 7, I can't play it anymore. After doing research, I do have to adjust the rollable chunks here. I can't actually get to a couple of these. This guy on the right is blocked off by a tree on the bottom, so I'm going to have to make that an unrollable chunk. I don't know if I can actually get to these surface chunks. Maybe from the edges, there's little corners that I can touch, but I certainly can't get to it from down here. So I'm going to have to make both of these chunks unrollable for the future. Okay. Really, it's just these two that I can get to for now. So yeah, since I have to light a bonfire, that's going to have to be next episode. Next episode, we'll do enough games of Soul Wars to get to at least 60 zeal. I'm going to have to decide if I want to try to save for the ectoplasmator or if I'm going to want to get the Spoils of War, because the Spoils of War, there's like a 300 coal ore drop that would be insane if we got it. So I'm probably going to hold out because I think it's only going to be 4 or 5 cycles until we can get the ectoplasmator, and that'll increase our prayer XP for every cycle after that. So I should probably go ahead and hold out for the ectoplasmator, but once we can start getting those Spoils of War, oh boy, that's going to be potentially huge for this account if we get some lucky drops there. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing Soul Wars for Zeal. Never played it before. It's probably going to take me a bunch of games to get to 60. Thanks, folks, for watching. This has been fun. We'll be back next episode with Soul Wars. Bye.